How you doing? Anthony Ferraro here at Great Sci-Fi. Today I wanted to share with you a little insight to the video that I made last week where I did a comp at the end, green screen, the little set piece, the chair that I made on the green screen, this right here. And so basically a lot of you asked about that. So yes, I shot it on a green screen. It was a comp. Now I have other videos on my channel that show you how to comp in Premiere Pro and how to do it very easily. And I do it step by step, and it's very basic. But a lot of you asked about the one that I did in the last video, because it looks pretty good, and you wanted to know about that process. So this is not a how-to video. It's more of a sort of a look at what goes into that, right? So I guess I'm calling it like a behind the curtain, behind the scenes, right? So I want to show you my process. So I'm not going to do the step-by-step, okay, move this frame, but it'll give you an overview. And if you want to go deeper, let me know, and we'll do more serious After Effects tutorials, or it'll just let you know what goes on, like if you're going to ask somebody to do it, or I just feel like knowledge is power, right? So if you're wanting to do these kind of shots, if you know what goes into it, you'll know what you don't want and what you do want. And if you're like me, look, 5-6 years ago, if you're watching this right now and you're like, I have no idea how to do this, neither did I. It's like anything else. You just usually with a passion project, that'll get you hooked in. But I love doing this stuff, and so I'm going to expose for you. I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you how I did the comp for last week's video, and if this is in the future still, that everything will be linked here. And this is my process, and I'm going to have a project coming up very shortly with that chair that we made. It'll be a series, and I'm going to be doing a lot of this, right? So this is a good intro. And again, let me know if you want to see more of this, but let's just take a look at this. Okay, so we're going to go right into After Effects. Like I said in the intro, I have a simpler version of doing this, but it doesn't look as good. And this is going to be just an overview of all the steps I take to achieve this composition. So After Effects is more effective. You have more control, and you can get a better look, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at my raw footage, right? You'll notice the green screen, I use one of these pop-out screens. I prefer these because you don't get as many wrinkles, and a painted wall I think is ideal. The curtain ones are okay, but you tend to get some really uneven light. So I have light on the back of this, and then I have light on me, and it's all about the even light, and you want to get a key. Now the mistake that most people make, or the thing that people do that I think looks bad, is they'll just do a basic color key, right? So that's when you get sort of that green haze, right? So that's just like one sort of dab of the green, and you get that weird haze. What you do is you mask out the area that's not in the green, right? So that you don't have to deal with all that other schmutz. So then you have to do a couple color keys so that you can get rid of that. And then I think you've all seen it before. You end up kind of with this green haze and jaggedness, right? So you have this janky edges, there's still some green showing through, and then they'll put a picture back there, right? And then this you'll see a lot, and it's just, it just looks bad, right? But, some people do this, but we can do much, much, much better than this, right? So the main problems with this, right, is we have the green haze. We have this background that's clearly separated from the image, right? Nothing seems to be in the same space. So those are all the things that we're going to correct, right? So the first thing I do is I grabbed a plate, right? So this is an image that I have that's going to be my background, right? It's a high resolution image. But then what I did is I went ahead and masked out a couple of these screens, right? So these panels are now empty. And then what I did is I put this video underneath. So what that does, that just gives a little life to what's going on in the background, right? So it's just these little things, you know, if it was in the windshield of the starfighter, I would have stars going by, just these little things, right? So then now we have our background image, but it also has these moving elements, right? Okay, so now let's go back to our main image. So now in After Effects, if you want to spend the money on Red Giant, there's Primat Keyer or Keylight in that comes with After Effects. I like Primat, you know, I find I get some more control. And now with this is just a more hardy program, right? So this is going to give me way more control. And then what we're going to do is you look at your matte image, and then I have these tools where I can clean it up, right? Clean it up. And what you're trying to do is get a clean image that has no green in the background. And what this tool does is it reads the background and the foreground image, and it allows you to really, really clean that up, right? And then you also have more powerful tools where you can unfocus the matte, and you can make, you can shrink it, you can feather it. It has spill adjustments where you can get rid of the spill. And then what I get is something like this, right? So now that is a very, very clean, keyed out image. And that's just using the more powerful tools. Now there still is a little bit of green on there, but you know, we're going to fix that. So now I have this plate, right? So I put that plate in the background. Now what I do is I make these 3D, right? So if we get the top view, you'll see that we can get just a little separation, right? So what that allows us to do is when we add a camera, if we just do like one simple move, you see how it just that one little move is going to make it seem more realistic, right? So we have that. Now here's where it really comes together as far as I'm concerned. So you have this image in the background, right, which is created by an artist or is a photograph from something. Different lighting than this. So what we're going to do is I tend to really heavily stylize all my sci-fi, and a lot of the reason I do that is it allows you to sort of hide the crimes, right? What you're trying to do is unify everything. So what we do is we add lights, and then once you have these lights, it brings everything together, right? So this light I have here, so now it's lighting me and it's lighting the background, so now it's in the same light, right? So that's the same, whereas that, I mean, that's kind of close. And what I'll do is I'll do color adjustments. You know, that's what it looked like before. And you're just trying to get everything to match, right? So I add these lights, and then now this light is a moving light, right? So that moves, I think you can see that. So that's there. And then when it moves a few seconds, it just moves just these little things. We're doing all these little things, these smoke and mirrors that just sort of bring it all to life, right? And I know if you've never been in After Effects, this right now is like, what the hell? That's why I'm giving you an overview. This is what you're gonna need to know, right? And if you're up for it, then you need to go deeper, and we can do some After Effects tutorials. If you know After Effects, or you've poked around in here, hopefully this will pull back the curtain a little bit for you, and give you an idea of, it's very doable, right? So now I have my comp, which is this background, right? Then I have the keyed out me. We put that in 3D and we added a camera. I put a light to unify the whole thing, and I made that blue. You could maybe make it green, right? And that'll change the whole look. And then the intensity. Oh, maybe that's not so great. Something like that, maybe like more matrix. And then there's this spotlight, right? And that's very, very subtle. In the point of interest, it moves very, very slightly. All right, so now, I have my lights, I have everything comped together, right? So there's certain things that I just like to do, but I like to heavily stylize, heavily treat my science fiction, especially when I'm doing comps, because I feel like that's what's going to give me the best result. So I use Magic Bullet. There's, you can use other color correction, or you can use the elements that I'm about to show you. So there's certain things that I like to do, right? So there's always sort of basic looks, and they're very, very stylized. And that's what I want, because I'm comping together all these fake elements. I'm trying to create sort of a heightened reality, if you will. And this just really helps me to get there, right? So it's like already pretty good, right? So something like that. So what I do, I always pretty much do the same thing. I get the chromatic apparition, and what that do is that gives you that separation, right? That almost 3D look. So I'll add a little bit of that, and so already we're blurring the edges, right? And then I'll add some film grain. Grain is always good, again, so I'm blurring edges, because we have edges of my image and images in the background. So by just putting a little bit of grain, it blends everything together, right? And then from there, then, if you want, you can add like a vignette, or, you can add a flare. Just these little things that just add life to it. And some people like the softened edges. Sometimes maybe I'll do that. Right, and then you see the difference. And that one I just created for you, but it's gonna blend everything together. This is the one that I went with. Right, so now everything's unified. It's all about steps, it's all about layers. And then the last thing I do, I bring it back into Premiere. So we bring it in to Premiere, into our editing program. And the one final thing for me, right, we have everything comped together, but it's still, to me, it's dead, right? That background is dead. But we wanted everything not moving so that we could stitch it all together. So now that it's all stitched together, the final thing that I want to do is I have these presets. You could do it by hand. You could do it in After Effects with some expressions, but I'll link to these presets. And then what I'll do is I add a fake camera shake, right? So now it again distracts the eye. So there that is. Here it is without that. Right? So we're watching this. Just sort of scrutinize it. You could, all right, maybe right there. That doesn't look real when you're really looking at it. But then we add the camera shake. And see, it's harder to really bear down on it and be like, hey, what's going on in the background? Because it's all moving. And again, this is misdirection. It's smoke and mirrors. And then what I did with this one, which what I'll share with you, is I found these earthquake presets that were pretty cool. So there, when I really bear down on it, right? I'm gonna cut that. Then I found these other ultimate earthquake. So this one has the zoom shake and then the lightning shake. All right, so watch what that one does. So that's pretty cool. So this has just the regular shake, and then this. Right? So you can tell, right? That gives a nice effect. Gentle shake. Now these ones are a lot, so I just use them for select moments, but then I have these ones, they're actually from the original Deadpool. Right? And then if that's too much for you, there's just a subtle one. So yeah. Whoa! Bogey at 3 o'clock. Whoa! Yeah, right? So I just love doing this stuff, right? And you really need to be motivated to do this, because it's a lot, but hopefully that shows you that it's doable, right? It's just like anything else. You got to learn the steps, but you got to want to do it, right? And I think mostly I wanted to show you what's possible and to sort of increase your knowledge of how it's done, right? So if you were looking for a step-by-step, I'll link to a step-by-step where I do a very simple version of this. And if you want to do the more advanced After Effects, let me know, and I'll certainly do videos like that. So, as always, I hope you found this video useful. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to read the comments. Be sure to check out the merch shop. We got the hats, we got shirts. Buying one of those really helps the channel. Well, as always, just remember, I'm just here to help make sci-fi.